Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Hallie and I'm so happy that you're here, and welcome back to BOOKMAS Day 6. For today's BOOKMAS episode, we are going to be reading indie published books that I think will be 5 stars, and I'm so excited for this video because I found these books so long ago and they've been sitting on the back burner until I have time to film this video, and I just thought BOOKMAS was the perfect time to do this. I truly think that all the books on today's little TBR have such high potential to be 5-star books based off of the reviews that I've seen for them that actually convinced me to pick up these books. So for today's video, we have 3 indie published books, all of which it only took one singular review to convince me that I want to read these books. So to give you a little overview on the 3 books for today's little TBR, first we have Us Dark Few. I am so excited to read this. So I believe that this is a YA dystopian fantasy novel. Pretty much all I know about this is that it's set like super far in the distance. There has been like a societal collapse, and I'm pretty sure everyone like lives underground as a society because the surface of the world is like no longer habitable. As you go down deeper and deeper into like the underground society, it kind of gets worse and worse, and at the very low levels there's like a prison, and at the very beginning of the book our main character finds herself in those prisons, and I believe it's like an enemies to lovers romance between her and one of the prison guards, and that's literally all I know about it. But I've heard such good things about this book and I'm so excited to get into it. I'm really excited to see if I can find a new dystopian novel that I really like. I feel like I don't really have a lot of favorites in the dystopian genre, but I really don't read too much in the dystopian genre as a whole, so I'm excited to kind of dip my toes in the water and try something new. Like literally I think the most dystopian novels that I read is just The Hunger Games. Like I really haven't read that many other dystopian novels, so I'm really excited about this one. The next one that I have, I actually saw a TikTok by the author herself like pitching her own book, and she did such a good job pitching this book that I immediately, just from hearing her like read out a couple of the scenes or describe a couple of the scenes from the characters and kind of like what goes on throughout the book, I immediately was like, this sounds like something that would be right up my alley, something I would absolutely love. So I'm so excited for it. It's called A Liar's Twisted Tongue, and this one I feel like I know the absolute least about because in the video that I saw where the author was pitching it, she didn't really describe the full plot of the book. She basically was just describing like the banter between the characters and like the amount of yearning that is in the book, and I'm pretty sure in the TikTok that I saw it just like described some of the scenes where the enemies are enemying but also kind of lovering, and like the amount of yearning and tension and banter that she was pitching was in this book. I'm just like, oh, I love it. I feel like from the way that she described it, it kind of reminded me of similar vibes to like the dynamics between the main characters in the Powerless trilogy, which I love that series. I feel like it's so good, so very excited to get into that one. Before I start that one, I think I am gonna go on Goodreads and read the synopsis so I can have like a little bit of an idea like what I'm getting into, because I just know literally nothing about it, but I'm really excited to read it. And then last up we have again a book in a genre that I don't really read too much in, to be honest. It's called Drowned in the Name of Love, and I've only ever seen one TikTok of someone talking about this book, but the way that she described it and like the way that she loved this book immediately made me want to read it. And again, she kind of showed like some of the vibes of the book and like a couple different quotes, and I just was like, I feel like this is something that I would absolutely love, absolutely eat up, so I'm so excited to read it. Again, don't know the plot, which honestly I love it. All I know about this one is that it is I don't even know what that's called, like it's set at sea, I'm pretty sure, so I'm really excited to get into it. Obviously, like I said, before I actually start each of the books, I'll go through and read the synopsis to you guys so we can kind of have a good idea of what we're getting ourselves into, what the plot is going to be, and like where we're going to be going on our little journey in the book. So to get right into it, I think that the first book that I want to pick up, because I've been dying to pick it up ever since it crossed my For You page, is Us Dark Few. I am so excited to get into this one, so I'm actually going to pull up the synopsis on Goodreads because I am going to be reading all of these on my Kindle as well. Okay, the synopsis says, Kehlani is a prisoner, Takeshi is a guard. Both are slaves to the underground. Kehlani Keynes has never stood on the surface of the earth. In the underground city of Apollo, faith and dreams are as absent as the sun. She longs to visit Genesis, the infamous doomed city and the final place where humanity lives above ground. But when Kehlani is given a life sentence and thrown into prison for a theft she didn't commit, those wishes shatter into oblivion. In Braderhelm prison, murderers are neighbors. Ruthless and cold-blooded guards live to punish. Every second is a battle to survive. She thought the danger lay in befriending criminals and avoiding Takashi Steele, the nefarious captain who runs her cell block. But darker traps and secrets await her within the shadows of imprisonment. Kehlani's blood will coat the walls in flaming silk before her enemies let her escape to the surface, a feat no one has successfully achieved. If the reclusive and callous Takeshi Steele won't kill Kehlani, then the merciless prisoners in her fractured mind will. I'm so excited to get into this. So that's going to be the first book that we're picking up for today's little video. I'm going to get cozy and get into the book, and then I'll give you guys my first little update for like my initial thoughts and feelings on the book and the vibes. Okay, already I want to really quickly just read you like the opening few paragraphs of the book. If you don't want to like hear the very beginning of the book, I guess you can skip this part, but like it obviously does not spoil anything because this is like the first page of the book, but I just think it's such a good opening. Like it's so strong, and I feel like I can picture everything so vividly already in just like the first few like paragraphs of the book. So it starts off with a quote, and it says, "If life was measured by the lessons I've learned, I would be immortal," and that's by Kehlani Keynes. And then it says, "Whoever first said there's nowhere to go but up lied. Things can always get worse, always. You can plummet further between those cracks and crevices because no true rock bottom exists to halt the descent of misfortune." Kehlani Keynes knew that lesson better than most. Heavy shackles chafed against her wrists and ankles. Every movement invited a stinging pain where cold met skin. But it was the towering dais in the center of the room that drew her attention. Justice prevails. The Apollo anthem, carved deep into the stone dais, stared back, mocking her with its falsehoods. Justice didn't exist in the surreal hellscape of Apollo. Not for those who needed it most. Its definition had been warped into a weapon long before Kehlani was born. A colossal guard with deep scarves carved into his face yanked her to a rough halt in the sentencing hall. Torches formed a broad circle along the walls. The flickering shadows against the rocks made the space ominous and disturbing, which was probably the point. Dread manifested inside her, so profound that it nearly took a physical presence. She could smell the bitter fragrance, tasted against her dry lips. Her lungs expanded to grasp more oxygen, but even the air was tainted, a thick layer of regret, composed of the sins and screams of those who died where her trembling feet were held anchored to the ground. Tap, 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 tap. The echo of polished shoes drew her gaze. An overweight man adorned in a black robe approached the stone dais. His bald head managed to reflect light, even in the dim cavern. The guards stiffened and stood straighter at his presence. The master judge was here. Like, even just reading that first little bit when you very first open the book, I feel like it just, you get right into it. The vibes are set, the tone is set, we know where we are and kind of what's going on, but it's like immediately intriguing, and I feel like you immediately have a sense of like the atmosphere that we're in. So I just wanted to read that to you guys because I feel like it's not very often where I read a book and like within the first few minutes that I'm reading that I'm like, okay, I'm there instantly, especially as an ADHD girly. So just wanted to share that. Been a few days, so I want to do a little bit of an update on A Stark View, and then I also did start Drowned in the Name of Love the other day on a Reading Sprints live stream, so I am also, I don't remember how far I got into that actually, but we'll get into that. I first want to update on A Stark View because that is the book that I started first, obviously. So I'm currently on chapter 20. It says I'm 56% into the book, and I'm really liking it so far. This feels so fast-paced, like it literally is going by so fast. It definitely doesn't feel like I have made it 50% into the book, so like that was kind of crazy to look down and realize how far into the book I am. I feel like even where I'm at in the book, the plot has started, but there hasn't been like that big moment that I feel like I'm waiting for to be like, oh, like this is what we were working towards, if that makes sense. Like basically the book starts, you're immediately like at her sentencing and like how she finds herself in the prison, like wrongly imprisoned, and so immediately you're going into the prison with her, and like that's kind of where the book starts, is like her entering the prison and realizing what her life is gonna be like and all this stuff. Pretty quickly you meet like the prison guard that is obviously going to be like the male main character of the book, and what I will say so far romance wise, I feel like the part that we're at, we're starting to get a little bit of like attraction between the two main characters, but it's not necessarily feeling that warranted so far. Nothing crazy has happened between them, but there have been a few moments where like he's really flirty with her, and there have been times where it kind of feels like, okay, like is he just being flirty for the sake of being flirty? Like I don't really understand why he's being flirty, but then I feel like it might be one of those things where like later on in the book something will be explained and then all of a sudden it will make sense, like why, even though he had no reason to like be attracted to her or care about her or like want to help her, why he did. So I'm kind of holding out to see if there's like something that is revealed later on that ends up making that feel a little bit more warranted. So I'm up in the air romance wise. It really depends on like what comes out later in the book on like if I like how the romance is going in the book. But like I said, honestly, nothing too crazy has happened between them. There's just been like a few little moments where you can tell that like there's a little bit of tension and he's like caring about her more than he should logically, because he's this like stone cold prison guard and she's just like a random prisoner. Besides that, the point that we are in the book, I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't say specifically what happened, but the point that I stopped in the book I feel like could be the turning point in in the plot where like something big happens and it's like, okay, like this is what we've been leading to. And I feel like there might be some reveals of some like hidden information or like something that might be important. I feel like because it is like a dystopian setting, there's a lot of dirty politics going on and like evil politicians and secrets and lies and all that stuff. So I'm really excited to see like what secrets and lies are uncovered, hopefully soon. But yeah, overall it's going good so far. I haven't necessarily gotten 5-star feelings. I feel like right now I'm sitting like high 3-4-star range, but again, I'm only just over halfway through the book and I feel like a lot could happen between now and the end of the book, especially like I said, I feel like I'm at the point where like there's going to be some big reveals and like maybe some twists and turns, which I feel like could very quickly raise my rating. So we'll just have to see on that one. I think I'm going to sit here and finish this book right now. I think I have about like 2.5 hours left in the book maybe, so I feel like that's like the perfect time frame to just sit and finish it in one go. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight, and then after that I'm going to move into Drowned in the Name of Love, which like I said, I did start the other day on a reading sprint live stream and it is so good so far. So I want to really quickly read the synopsis of this book for you guys since I did start it, and then I'll get into like my thoughts and opinions because I am really liking it so far. So this one says, in the heart of the 9 seas, loyalty is a weapon and love is a risk none survive unscathed. The tragic murder of her father, the famed pirate king, and the revolutionary waves it left behind bound Donna Balboa to a life of privilege within the oppressive walls of Tydia's, I think, court. For years, she's felt trapped in the place she once called home, secretly breaking a forbidden law that keeps nobles from the shore and ships from the sea. Yet each night she risks everything to chase her only dream, to sail the seas as a pirate, just as her father once did. But the call of the waves is undeniable, whispering of something greater beyond the horizon, and after years of praying to the heavens, an unexpected twist shatters what should have been the most important day of her life, entangling her with the crew of a notorious ship, which that's like the part that I just got to, so that's why I'm like he because I literally just read that like on the stream and it was so good. But then it says, and its infamous wanted captain, a captain haunted by a past that even the gods seem unwilling to forgive, and as their bond deepens, so do the nightmares and the omens that threaten to expose secrets which could doom any chance at what Donna believes she could love. Pursued by the kingdoms for embracing the pirate code, Donna Balboa must navigate treacherous waters, caught in tides of vengeance and ancient mysteries. When she discovers she holds the key to unlocking a power the gods themselves seem to fear, Donna must decide where her true allegiance lies. But the gods and seas are fickle, and love, vengeance, and survival don't always sail the same course. Pirates of the Caribbean meets Once Upon a Broken Heart in the spellbinding romantic fantasy of adventure, curses, betrayal, and forbidden love on the high seas. And honestly, it's so funny that it says Pirates of the Caribbean meets Once Upon a Broken Heart, because on the live stream, I got to the point where like one of the male main characters was introduced, because I feel like this is like sprinkle salt and pepper love triangle, not really, kind of, so far. I don't really know if that's accurate because I'm not too far in the book, but the part that I had gotten to, like they were describing the character and there had been a few scenes with them together, and I literally, on one of our little breaks from the reading sprint, I literally was like, the description of this man is giving Will Turner. And if you know anything about me, like I am a diehard Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I feel like it's not the most random thing about me, actually, that's a complete lie, but it is a random fact. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I literally watch the movies all of the time. When I was a kid, I was Captain Jack Sparrow for Halloween like 3 years in a row, like, and I honestly would do it today. I just irrationally love those movies. I think they're so funny, they're so entertaining, and they're like very nostalgic for me because I would just watch them over and over as a kid, and like every single time a new one came out, I would go to the theaters with my dad and watch it, and then he would buy it on DVD, and then I would watch it a million times at home. So I love Pirates of the Caribbean, needless to say, and I was very much just getting those vibes, and it was just making me so happy. Like, I didn't realize that this is something that I needed in my life, but now I feel like I'm realizing that because I love Pirates of the Caribbean so much, that maybe this is something that I should lean towards more often, because I'm having such a good time, and already I'm feeling a little bit down bad for the male main character. So I'm very excited to get farther into this one. Right now I'm on chapter 8, so I made it 12% into the book on the reading sprint live stream, and yeah, I'm having the best time. Honestly, I feel like this one I'm closer to getting 5-star feelings to than A Stark Few. A Stark Few, I'm just like having a really good time, but I feel like I need to see where we're gonna go in the plot before I can like gauge my feelings on it more so, I feel like. But Drowned in the Name of Love, I feel like the vibes are just, they're great. I'm loving the world. I feel like it has a really interesting like setup of the world. In the very beginning, you kind of are given descriptions of a bunch of the different gods, and even just the introduction of her father and how it leads up to him being captured, and then like her life life and everything that's going on like the island before she's like ends up at sea with this like pirate crew. It's been so interesting, and it's really well paced. It's gone really fast, but just like, I don't know, I'm very intrigued and I'm very excited to get farther into that one. So honestly, I'm really looking forward to getting back into that one once I'm done with A Starkview. So those are our plans. I want to save A Liar's Twisted Tongue for last because that is the one that I was the most excited to start, I think. But honestly, now that I'm in Drowned in the Name of Love, I'm like, what if that one ends up being my favorite? I see potential. I don't know. So our plan for tonight is to finish A Starkview, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to just hop right into Drowned in the Name of Love and literally just read until I fall asleep. So I could end up making it super far into the book tonight if I don't end up getting tired and falling asleep. If I'm really into the book, I honestly would not be surprised if I end up staying up very late and binging the book, because I'm getting that feeling from this book where you're like so hooked on the plot that it's like, honestly, at this point, I choose sleep deprivation because I need to read the story, like I need to be in it, and like, I don't know, I feel like that's the vibe that I'm getting from it, and I'm just so excited to get back into it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna finish A Starkview, get into Drowned in the Name of Love, and I will update you guys either later tonight or tomorrow morning on how far I get in both of those books, and also my final thoughts and feelings. If I end up finishing them both, if I end up finishing just A Starkview, I gotta just see where the night takes me. But I'm very excited. I feel like this is gonna be such a good night of reading. Actually been a few days. I have a ton of updates for you guys. Don't mind my voice. My throat literally just feels so dry. I think I'm just because Christmas season, Bookmas season, slay. Okay, so ignore that. But I have so many updates for you guys because, like I said, it's been a few days. Obviously, you guys saw that I finished A Starkview, which I'll give you kind of like my final thoughts and rating for that book. And then the next day I read Drowned in the Name of Love, and I ended up playing the Pirates of the Caribbean movies in the background while I was reading that, and that was like the perfect vibes for that book. Like, it's so Pirates of the Caribbean coded. I actually am like having the best time. But that one also, there's like a few things that I want to bring up as well. And then I also have gotten into A Liar's Twisted Tongue. Is that what it's called? I've been doing just so much reading, and I have so many things to talk about with all three of the books for today's video. So let's get right into this very yappy little update. So first of all, starting off with A Starkview, my final rating for that book is 4 stars. First of all, the ending of that book has me actually like flabbergasted. Like, when I tell you, there was one part of it that I did guess, like I kind of saw it coming, but then there was another thing that happened that I did not see coming at all, and I'm like so confused and intrigued as to like why that happened, what it means, what is going to happen in the next book. And I thought it was just a duology, but I guess it's a trilogy, and I don't think that the third book is out quite yet, so I'm really excited. I think that the second book is also on Kindle Unlimited, so that's exciting. It'll be very easy to pick that up and get into it. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I think that I felt a little bit like disappointed by the romance in it. By that I just mean like I wasn't as like obsessed with the romance as I thought it would be. I feel like it was really fast paced. paced. It was really easy to get into. I feel like if you really liked like in Fourth Wing, whenever they were like in the training room and like doing those training scenes, like there's a lot of that in this book, and I feel like if you like that vibe, like you would really like the relationship between the FMC and the MMC in this book. And what I will say, like while I was a little bit disappointed by the romance, I think that stems mainly from like the first half of the book, because I will say that my rating did go up. Like it went up from like the 3-star range to the 4-star range, because in the second half of the book I do feel like a lot of the, well, a couple of like the gripes that I was having in like the relationship and like the male main character, and I was like, it doesn't really make sense for you guys' like position, like for your standing, I guess, for you to be like liking her if that makes sense, because like you're literally a prison guard. But there were like a few conversations that I feel like gave a really good perspective into the male main character and like why he was the way that he was, and I feel like it did make a little bit more sense and kind of like validate that side of things. So I will say that did raise my rating a little bit, but I think because it took like a while to get there and because I was feeling a little bit off for the first half of the book, I'm not fully obsessed with the romance, but I do feel better about it now at the end of the book. The plot though, I really liked the plot. I really liked the setting of everything. Overall, it was really enjoyable. It was, like I said, fast-paced, very intriguing, and I'm really excited to get into the next book and see like where the series is going to go in the future. So those are kind of my thoughts on A Stark Few. Then, like I said, I've made it quite a ways into Drown in the Name of Love. I have about 30 minutes left. I'm 90% into it. I literally was just binging this book. Like it was just the perfect vibe while watching Pirates of the Caribbean and like reading this cozy in bed at night. It was just like immaculate vibes. And I have some thoughts on this book. So first of all, what I will say, I'm having a great time, okay? It's so weird because the vibes of this book are like straight up 10 out of 10, okay? If I was going to go straight off of vibes and only vibes, I would say I'm getting 5-star feelings. However, there are some weird like writing qualms I have with the book, which is, I feel like really weird for me to say because I feel like I'm not necessarily picky at all ever if I find some like typos in a book or like things like that here and there. I feel like this is really the first book where I have noticed it quite a bit, and I feel like I can feel it taking down my rating a little bit just because the things that I've noticed have kind of taken me out of the story, because it makes me think like, why did you write it like that? You know what I'm saying? And I highlighted some things to give you guys examples because, and at first I wasn't highlighting it because I was like, you know, like one thing here and there, like that's just how I typically am. I just like breeze past. I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, you know, I feel like it's a very human thing to like make errors here and there, and like you just miss things, especially as an ADHD girly. Like I understand the struggle of missing things that feel like they should be obvious. So I'm just usually not very nitpicky. That's not usually a thing that like I need in a book to like have a higher rating. But the things that I noticed were just so like, it went beyond like, oh, this word is spelt the wrong way. It would like be a whole sentence and like an entire word is missing. And so then I read the sentence and I'm like, what are you even talking about? Because one of the main words in the sentence is missing, if that makes sense. Like, let me try and find a good example. Okay, I think this was like one of the biggest ones that I noticed. So this sentence says, his thinner gave him a spectral appearance, like a wraith who had slipped free of the world of the living but hadn't quite left it behind. And I'm like, his thinner what? Like his thinner appearance, his thinner frame, his thinner, is a thinner a tool that he's holding? And so like that gave him a spectral appearance. Like I just was so confused when I read that because I was like, his thinner gave him a spectral appearance. What? And then sometimes I feel like I gaslight myself into thinking that I'm the problem, and I'm like, no, you're just like missing context clues, because I feel like, because again, ADHD, like sometimes when I'm reading, I like don't connect the dots right away, so then sometimes I gaslight myself and I'm like, no, that's definitely like some type of like magical tool that he has, and it's like giving him a spectral appearance, and you just definitely missed that clue. That was like one of the first ones I was like, no, okay, this is like, a whole word is missing. And then the other things that I had noticed, I'll just read you like a few sentences where it's like, you can tell that the sentence was rewritten because some words are written in like different tenses, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's like the right way to say that, but you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay, like this sentence says, but as the words tried to left his lips, something changed. And it should say, but as the words tried to leave his lips, something changed. It seems like the original sentence was, as the words left his lips, something changed. That, or like, now Alistair was saying, I might had made things worse. Instead of like, I might have made things worse, it's like, I might had made things worse. So like little things like that that, where it's like after I noticed it so many times, it like started to take me out of the story because it was like irritating me, which never happens to me. So like just such a weird feeling. But then on the other hand, like I have a couple of really pretty quotes about like reading, and specifically like this quote says, "When the world gave me nothing, the pages gave me everything. Between the lines, I discovered all the things life denied me. When the world failed to offer me what I craved, the stories did. Unwavering, dependable, and mine. And I was never alone again." Like I'm like, that's such a beautiful way to describe the feeling of like using books for escapism, and like how they're always there in hard times, like to help you escape and like get that comfort from life, especially when you're going through a hard time. So like I thought that that was really beautiful. Another quote that I really loved was, "Every truth I've ever found I discovered between the lines of a story. No matter how boundless the imagination behind the tale is, there's always a hidden truth waiting for you to claim as your own." Which I just really liked, again, because it's like the individual experience of reading a book, and how like reading is so subjective and everyone can take away different things from books. Like even though you're reading the same book, like everyone can take away different things based off of like their own personal experience and like what they personally see and find in the book. So like I thought that that was really pretty and really beautiful. So like I'm really conflicted because the vibes are immaculate, like genuinely 10 out of 10. I love the setting of like being out at seas and going on adventures and like all these different quests to find different treasures, and we're looking for maps. I feel like the magic system of the world is so cool. Like there's all these different gods, and you can make deals with the gods, like the goddess of the seas and the god of the winds and the god of death, and like all this stuff, and like they're having a huge role to play. There's like mermaids and mythical sea monsters, like so much stuff. And then like the romance is just, I don't know, I'm loving the romance. It's just so good. I feel like I'm seeing like Will Turner, like very big Will Turner vibes, but except not him at the beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean, like him once he like fully becomes a pirate and he has like his long hair and he's like kind of like a dirty pirate. I feel like that sounds unhinged, but like picture dirty Will Turner, long hair, covered in tattoos, also like covered in tattoos, but also kind of mixed with like that one character that plays Captain Hook in Once Upon a Time that like everyone was in love with whenever we were like 15 and 16. Them together as one person and covered in tattoos, I feel like is the male main character, and I love their dynamic. I love the romance. The tension is off the charts. I don't know if this is YA or adult. I don't remember honestly when I looked it up, but like I'm 90% into the book and they haven't even had their first kiss yet, and they've gotten so close so many times, and every single time it's like, it's so good. So like that's why I'm so conflicted, because like genuinely, if there weren't so many issues with having words be completely missing from the sentence, or like having words left in there from a sentence that you rewrote like so many times, I genuinely think that this would be a 5-star book for me. And like normally I'm just like a vibes-based girly. Like if the vibes are right, it's a 5-star. Like that's very much usually how I rate my books. I'm not typically very picky, you know. For me personally, it's not too much of a requirement. Like this is genuinely the first time where I'm running into that issue where it's like so much that I'm like, no, this is starting to kind of affect my reading experience. So now I'm conflicted on how to rate it, because this has never happened to me before, and like I don't know what to do in this situation, because the vibes are great. Like I'm having a great time, even with like the little errors that I've noticed. I just feel like I'm having such a fun time, and it's been just like so enjoyable to be in this world. And I feel like it has also like such good found family in it, which I didn't really expect. And like normally found family like is very hit or miss for me. Like I feel like I've read books where people rave about the found family and it like doesn't quite hit for me, but then the books where the found family does hit, I'm like, ugh, it just like pulls on my heartstrings. And this is like one of them where I just feel like so connected to all of the characters in the plot. So like I'm very conflicted on my rating. I want to finish it and see how it's gonna end, because we're in a point of major contention in the plot right now, and I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that this is a standalone, so I'm very intrigued to see how things kind of are able to get wrapped up within the last 10% of the book. I feel like at this point I'm like, how are we gonna do it, you know? Maybe actually it might not be a standalone. I don't know. I will be surprised if it is, because that's a lot that we need to wrap up in the last 10% of the book, and I don't know how we're gonna do that without it feeling rushed. So we'll see about that. But those are my current thoughts on Drowned in the Name of Love. Very conflicting, but also having the best time ever, weirdly. I don't know. And then lastly, moving on to some updates on A Liar's Twisted Tongue. So I made it pretty far into this book as well over the last few days. I think I have about 3.5 or 4 hours hours left in A Liar's Twisted Tongue. And I'm kind of running into an issue because it's Bookmas, and in order to stay on schedule for Bookmas, I need to like try and wrap this video up within like the end of today. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish A Liar's Twisted Tongue, but after I finish Drowned in the Name of Love, because I only have like 30 minutes left of that, I am going to spend as much time as I can tonight getting as far into A Liar's Twisted Tongue as I can. If not finish it, just get as far as I can, I guess. But I also have like very mixed feelings about A Liar's Twisted Tongue right now. I think maybe because this is the one that I had the highest expectation for, I think, going into this video, just because like the author on TikTok was able to hype it up so much to me. Like she really like was able to sell her book to me. I wanted to save this one for last because I had really high hopes for it. And it's so interesting, like sometimes whenever you read fantasy, it's like you can literally see who the parents of the book are, if that makes sense. In this book, like if there was a throuple of The Hunger Games, the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts, and Zodiac Academy, this is the love child. Like that's literally the love child. I will say the Hunger Games elements are really only like heavy in the setup of the book, like the very beginning 10-15% of the book. I feel like there's multiple scenes where I'm like, that's so Hunger Games coded, like very much a parallel. And then after that, I would say not so much anymore. It's just like very heavy in the beginning of the book. After that point, I'd say it's very heavy on the Powerless and Zodiac Academy vibes, just because of like the setting of it. And then also like the MMC and the FMC, their banter, I feel like feels so Peyton and Kai coded, like to the point where he's like calling her darling all the time. And she's like, don't call me darling. And he's like, oh darling. Like I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, because that feels like my man Kai's line. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime I hear, oh darling, like that's simply Kai in my brain. And I don't know if that's a me problem. I don't know if this was written before Powerless or not. I really actually wonder. But yeah, so I don't know. So that was all like a little bit strange because it was like so heavy on the Hunger Games and Powerless parallels. Not even just like vibes. It was like very much like there's a couple things where I'm like, that seems like a direct parallel. But also I feel like the pacing has been a little bit off for me, where it's like, especially in the first like 30% of the book, it felt like we were jumping between scenes like so quickly and so abruptly, which again, I feel like is a newer thing for me to notice in books. I feel like I haven't necessarily noticed that. And I don't know if I'm like noticing these things too, just because at this point, like I've been reading for a lot longer and like I've read a lot more books. So like I have more things to compare books to as I'm reading, I guess. Like, I don't know, it's really weird for me whenever I'm like reading and I'm like, I feel like I've never noticed this before. Like this has never been an issue for me before. So like, why all of a sudden am I noticing this? Is it a me problem? Do I need to look within myself and stop being annoying? But yeah, it just felt very, there's so much happening. Like there's so much happening so quickly, and there was no like, it just like didn't seamlessly blend between scenes. It was more so like, oh my gosh, this just happened. Now we're in this world over here and this is happening. But wait, let's go back over here. Now this is gonna happen. Oh my god, don't blink. This is also happening. Like it just felt like boom, boom. Like I was getting whiplash, like trying to follow. And it's also like dual perspective. So it's like, he's over here in this world talking, jump. She's over here in this world talking, but mid scene, she's also gonna travel over here real quick. And now she's over here. Flashback. Did you know this happened? And it was just like, hold on. That was a little bit much. And then it kind of goes from that to like slowing down to the point where I'm like, so what next? And this feels like such a weird juxtaposition to like the first portion of the book. So I don't know, I'm conflicted because I like the setup, I like the magic of the world, and I like the characters so far, but something about the way that it's written and like the pacing of it just has felt a little bit off for me. So right now, I think ratings wise, if I'm going off like the vibes of the book, like how I feel currently, I would say like I'm sitting around like a 3.5 area, depending on how the second half of the book goes, I guess. But those are kind of my thoughts. And this is the most yappiest little update ever, but I have so much to say because I've been doing so much reading. And now I'm like, okay, we're on our last night of reading for this video. So we're gonna get into it, see what our final thoughts are in Drowned in the Name of Love, and see how far we can get into A Liar's Twisted Tongue. And then I'll give you guys my final thoughts. Let's do it. It's definitely the next morning and I fell asleep in my makeup, so my eyeballs feel so dry. My face feels literally disgusting. I fell asleep while I was reading, what is that called? A Liar's Twisted Tongue. Yes. Anyway, I wanted to come on here because I woke up and I was like literally in a different dimension, because I was like, what time is it? What day is it? What's going on? Why do my eyeballs hurt? And everything came back to me and I realized that I fell asleep last night, and I wanted to give my final thoughts really quickly on Drowned in the Name of Love and A Liar's Twisted Tongue before I start editing this video to go up for BOOKMAS. So really quickly, Drowned in the Name of Love, I genuinely feel so conflicted on still, because like genuinely the vibes are a 5-star. Like it was just so good. I genuinely just enjoyed it from start to finish. It was just so interesting. Like basically everything that I said yesterday, like the magic system, the world, the plot, the romance, and the end. The plot twist was so painful, and then the epilogue. And I think it made it even worse because I thought it was a standalone. So I was like, okay, like it's gonna come to an end, like it will be resolved. What's gonna happen? No, no, it's not. It's actually the first book in a series, I guess. And there's no more books out in the series right now. So that's pretty gut-wrenching, actually. I think what I'm gonna do is on Goodreads, I'm gonna rate it a 5-star, but my rating, I guess, will be 4.75 just because of like some of the things that I had mentioned, because there honestly was quite a few like mistakes where, again, words were missing, sentences were rewritten, and like words from the last sentence were left in there, and like the past tense whenever the sentence was changed to like a current tense, or just like the random things that were like spelled wrong. But also I'm like, it's an indie book, so like I don't know exactly the difference between indie and like regular publishing, but I'm sure it's harder to do like a bunch of edits on an indie book, and so like I don't want to be as picky with that also, because I'm like, it's just human at the end of the day. And regardless of all that stuff that I did notice, like the story was genuinely so good. Like again, if I'm going straight off of like plot, vibes, characters, all that stuff, like genuinely 5 stars, so good. That's literally my only gripe with the book, were like those few things. So like especially if you're like me and those things don't necessarily bother you too much, honestly, I highly recommend that book. It was so good. It was literally so good. As far as The Liar's Twisted Tongue, I think I literally only read like 4 chapters before I absolutely passed out last night. I'm still kind of sitting middle of the road at that one. I feel like it could go either way for me at this point, where the second half of the book could just not do it for me, or the second half of the book could save it for me, depending on which way it goes. But I think I'm also just still feeling a little bit of that disappointment because I had higher expectations for that one. So I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to pick that up in a vlog soon, so you guys can hear my final thoughts, or you'll hear my final thoughts on that one in like a wrap up or something like that. But with that being said, that's all that I have for you guys in today's video. I have to keep it pushing for BOOKMAS. So make sure before you go, if you haven't already, that you subscribe so you don't miss future content from me. Also, as always, if you're ever interested in joining the Bookaholics Anonymous book club over on Patreon, the link to that is always down in my description box down below. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this BOOKMAS video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!